Hello again, everybody, and welcome to this bonus edition of VIBELAND Sports. I'm Todd Miller. Today we have a very special guest for you. His name is David Meltzer. He is the author of 4 books, including 2 which have reached #1 bestsellers both nationally and internationally. He also is currently the CEO of Sports One Marketing, in which he co-founded with Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon. David, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're quite a busy man, but you have a very impressive story and a very impressive message to tell.
Well, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your background very, very quickly. I know that in doing some research on you, you went to college. You were very successful in college. You decided you were going to play football, but quickly realized, I guess, that football really wasn't for you.
Yeah, I thought I'd be a professional player, and then Christian Okoye ran me over and stepped on me, and I thought, man, I better doctor, lawyer, or failure.
You got your law degree. You always kind of wanted to be a sports agent, didn't you? But you've taken kind of a circuitous route to where you are right now. Can you tell us about your journey to CEO in Sports One Marketing?
Yeah, one of the pieces of advice is I give kids and adults that want to have the dream job that I have is that you can't limit your point of entry. You have to really focus in on skills, knowledge that are aligned with your desires. So when I got out of law school, I was chasing the dollar. I wanted to buy my mom a house and a car. So I got involved in the internet, despite my mom telling me the internet was going to be a fad. I went ahead and worked for West Publishing, West Law. We ended up selling that company for $3.4 billion, which changed the trajectory of my life. I was a millionaire 9 months out of law school, bought my mom a house and a car, started branding myself a technology person. I was always a customer of sports, so people asked me how I was involved in sports. I sponsored events, I hired athletes, signings, speaking engagements, whatever I could. And I ended up CEO of the world's first smartphone. It was a Windows CE device, so I got to work with Microsoft and Samsung and really was on the cutting edge of what today is one of the biggest industries in phones. But retired in my 30s, and through a long journey, I got to meet Lee Steinberg, the CEO of Steinberg Sports Entertainment, the most notable sports agency in the world. I think for 2 reasons. I was prepared for the opportunity. One, with my technology background, law degree, and Lee's personality was so similar to my brother. We hit it off, and within 48 hours, I went from being an investor of sorts and an entrepreneur into the chief operating officer, and within 6 months, the CEO of the most notable sports agency in the world.
How did you and Warren Moon actually hook up? Did that go back to your days with Lee Steinberg?
Yeah, so my office was, Lee and Warren were partners, and my office sat in between their 2 offices at the Steinberg offices, and Warren and I became very close 11 years ago, spinning off our marketing company together and really enjoying a philosophy of making a lot of money to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun.
I want to back up just a moment if we can. We're visiting with David Meltzer, who, again, has authored 4 books, including 2 that are bestsellers, not only nationally but internationally, and currently the CEO of Sports One Marketing. You mentioned your mom. She was a single parent of, 6 kids? I mean, she obviously had her hands full, but did very, very well with you and your siblings.
Yeah, my mom was a black belt in the martial art of Jewish guilt. And so our siblings, and me, we were born under the understanding that the fetus wasn't fully developed till after graduate school, that the only way out of our dire circumstances financially was to be educated and to work hard in school that would provide options and opportunities. And, my mom was right. All my siblings are extremely successful. I'm the only one that didn't go to the Ivy Leagues, but education to me was the key to success. And actually, it still is today. I'm a big fan of being more interested than interesting, and being more interested about what I want to be interested in and how to make money and help people and have fun.
Whether it's in sports, entertainment, or business, you've been around the block for a long time, David. What would you say is the common thread that you see with all successful people?
I attribute it to my definition of happiness, which is all successful people enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of their potential. They don't have setbacks, they have setups. understand if they change the way they look at things, the things they look at change. And most importantly, I believe all successful people are of service and understand the importance of giving back or paying it forward.
David, would you say that, and we live in a society today, whether you're a celebrity or a non-celebrity, that we worry about what other people think and we listen to encouragement or doubters? Wouldn't you say that people need to tune out doubters to be a very successful and happy person in life?
Yeah, I think there's three rules that are all aligned with the ego. One, you can't identify who you are with what you do. Two, you can't identify who you are with what you have. And then finally, you can't identify who you are with what other people think of you. And if you can live and subscribe to those three rules, I believe you'll have a great self-identity. You'll be out of your own way, and you'll be able to allow things to happen in your life that most people can't experience.
As I mentioned earlier, you have four books, two of which have been internationally bestsellers. If I were to ask you, David, I want to start out, I want to be on a path that you can encourage me to long-term success. Which one of those books would you suggest right off the bat?
Connected to Goodness, the first book that I have, it's a bestseller both domestically and internationally, and it basically is a guide to manifesting what you desire in life and business. It's the platform in which, when I lost everything in my 30s, I utilized to regain it rapidly and accurately, and it applies in a very strategic way imagination principles and action principles that truly are time-proven, successful values in which to really achieve what you want to.
Take us back to your 30s when you had that fall, and at what point did you kind of look inward and say, okay, I need to pick myself up by the bootstraps and go down this road to be happy and successful?
You know, what happened was I had to go tell my mom that I had lost everything, and I was so worried that it would be so crushing to her. But beyond that, I realized that I'd forgotten to take my mom's house out of my name. So not only did I lose my own home, I lost my mom's home. And when my mom reacted in complete unconditional love, when she just was concerned about me, wasn't upset at all, and just told me, is there anything I can do for you? Do you need money? How can I help you? I literally thought to myself, wow, I have to really reevaluate how I want to live my life. And I want to be, as much as I made fun and looked down on my mom for all those years because she was a second grade teacher and never made any money, and I resented her because I had to finance everything for so long for her. And now I understood what she was trying to teach me, this idea of being of service, of living in a world of more than enough. And I believe that I could have and live an abundant life by making a lot of money so I could help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. And that one day was the catalyst for me living my life of service, being of value, being a compassionate capitalist, which is the second book which I wrote, of how you can have it all and live an abundant life.
So what would you tell people? You've made a lot of money, you've lost a lot of money, and you've made money back again. What would you tell people to gauge a level of success on? Because for some people, it's not always about the dollar. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I use as a litmus test people's happiness, right? Are you living a purposeful, passionate existence? Are you focused in on what you want, why you want it, and how to get it? I believe that money doesn't buy happiness, but it does allow you to shop. And if you want to shop for the right things, money can certainly assist you in that. But regardless of how much money you have, if you're shopping for the wrong things, or how much little money you have, if you're shopping for the wrong things, you're not going to be happy.
You're the CEO, as we mentioned, of Sports One Marketing. Take us through the birth of that company and what you actually do today alongside Warren Moon.
Our business has been an evolution, not a revolution. We originally spun off the company as a sponsorship company, a VIP business that has the backdrop of sports and entertainment, using Warren's brand as a bug light to attract more business, always allowing and always requiring that we have a charitable purpose or cause tied to everything that we did. But it's evolved over the years with media and, of course, with my own personal brand. So as Warren's brand and he got a little bit older, my brand started to grow, and I became the Bug Light for the company, and the media side of what we do has grown exponentially.
Is education a big part of your business with celebrities, both in sports and entertainment? Because, daily we hear about athletes that have had these multi-million-dollar contracts that once they retire, they have nothing left. Do you have to educate your clients a lot on investments and how to better serve their financial needs?
We try to, have a huge business coaching practice and mentorship program. I normally allow the experts. So what we do is give access to answers, right? We teach our clients to ask for help as well as be of service. And so depending on what the needs are, what we want to do is give access to those clients to what we feel, 3, 4, 5 people that may have the best interest in mind so that they can decide what is true for them and who is the best person to help them.
David Meltzer, the CEO of Sports One Marketing, he mentioned a business coach. He was recently named one of the top 100 business coaches in the world, our guest on this bonus podcast from VIBELAND Sports. You mentioned something about asking for help, asking for advice. Everybody, regardless of your walk of life, has an ego. But isn't that some of the things that get in people's way of success? They're afraid to ask somebody for help.
Absolutely. If I could teach one thing, it would be radical humility. And I allowed my ego to get in my own way. And it's the key source of resistance, of objections, voids, obstacles in everyone's life. And being aware of the ego for me, the need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be separate, superior, inferior, the need for guilt and anger and frustration and anxiety, all of those needs of the ego, if we can, number one, be aware of it, and two, counteract it by living and going back to center, to peace, to joy, to happiness, to enthusiasm and inspiration. If we're able to live our lives the majority of the amount of time outside of that resistant energy of the ego, everyone would live a much better and fulfilled and purposeful existence.
Negotiating deals. Everybody does it to a different degree. Obviously, you and Lee Steinberg did it with his group in sports and entertainment. But what do you say the key or keys to negotiating a great deal for your clients is?
For me, it's understanding value, right? So if you can talk value of what your client, what they're bringing in value, and then equate that backwards to what you want, and the value that you're providing is exponential to the value that you want, the other person can't see any reason why they wouldn't want to move forward. Lee had a simple philosophy of negotiation. It was always don't negotiate to the last penny, always be fair, and don't do business with dicks.
Interesting story, and I want you to tell us about it. C.J. Anderson this past year, David, was one of the great stories after he was released by the Oakland Raiders, and I bring him up because I believe in research he's one of your clients, and you kind of helped guide him from maybe thinking about retirement back into the NFL, and of course he became a big reason the Rams made the Super Bowl this year.
Absolutely. I'm blessed to business coach C.J. He has his own agents, and we still are in constant contact. So he, recently just signed with the Lions, and we were talking yesterday, did a 1-year deal. We actually were talking yesterday, and he was actually equating his happiness to the dollars that he wanted. But I think for the fact that when we met, he thought he was out of football, and he had 3 offers from the Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Rams. He was going to finish out that season as he did on top.
You're the host of a podcast. It's called The Playbook. I've listened to a couple of episodes. It's very, very interesting because you talk to your clients, and it's not about telling them stories about their athletic success. It's kind of what has helped them become successful people. Tell us a little bit about that venture for you.
Yeah, so, I've been blessed to have access to the leaders in sports and business in America, and I felt that the stories that I knew about these people that were beyond the field were the really interesting stories. So I called it their playbook to success. I want to get into their head and let people know that they haven't lived a perfect life, that they've had trials and tribulations and struggles and voids and shortages that they've been able to overcome with the consistent, persistent pursuit of their potential.
You mentioned earlier that don't limit your entry point as far as a possibility of a job in sports. Can you expand on that a little bit more, like perhaps in your situation, you obviously went down a couple of paths to get back into being a sports agent.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people try to limit their point of entry. They want to be a general manager of a team or work in the front office, and they think there's only one path. So they go to that exact team and get a low-level job. And that is one way to get there, working their way up through the ranks. But for me, I've always one who wants to advance in a more accelerated manner to improve my skills, my knowledge, really live an inspired life with a ton of desire so I can be statistically successful. And, I believe it's easier to move lateral at a higher level than it is up through the ranks. So I believe people shouldn't limit their point of entry. They should pursue what their potentials are. And if they're the best artist, if they're the best musician, they're the best doctor, lawyer, and they want to be in sports, they could be the best artist, musician, lawyer, and doctor in sports and move laterally over at a higher level in a much more accelerated way.
It's kind of interesting you talk about a doctor because if my research is correct, your dad or your brother was a doctor. You wanted to be in sports medicine, but you couldn't find a way to be in sports medicine and be in a hospital. Is that a true story?
Yeah, and I bring it up because my brother's the one that gave me that advice to be more interested than interesting. And I see so many young people, they think they want to be something like a sports agent, but they know about as little about being a sports agent as I knew about being a doctor. I mean, I look back, make fun of myself that I actually thought you could be a doctor without ever being in a hospital.
That's good. What's the future, David, for CEO or for Sports One marketing for you and Warren and Company?
I think the future is in what I call the stage theory, is understanding that, as we've evolved from traditional marketing, media, and sponsorship, that there's an incredible opportunity for everything that we do as a stage. So what we want to do is understand how do we capture content, amplify it, and perpetuate it in order to monetize it, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. So our future is based on transmission of content and understanding how to take that normal traditional activity, event, or game and take it from, whether it be 100 people, 40,000, or 100,000 and bring it to millions.
David Meltzer, CEO of Sports One Marketing, is our guest. Couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. What you talk about and deal with is in the world of sports, but it really has a common denominator that it would work in any business, as you mentioned. Do you agree that mentoring is a very, very important part of people's success?
Absolutely. I live by the fact that the reason I lost all my money is I didn't ask for help. I had no mentors. And for me, that you should always have three mentors, people that sit in the position that you want to be in. And that's why 5 years ago I started mentoring and coaching. And I ended up, I think, because of my passion and understanding of how to help people with situational knowledge, experience, and relationship capital, I became one of the top business coaches in the world.
Do you see a day, David, down the line that athletes will be paid in cryptocurrency?
Oh, God. I think if other people are paid in cryptocurrency, athletes will be as well. So, any type of medium of currency that's utilized for doctors, lawyers, and salespeople, the athletes will be paid by it as well.
Last question. I know you're big into charity work. That's always been very important to you. Why is that?
Just my general philosophy of being of service. I believe that we're here for a purpose. You can't bring or take anything when you're gone. I don't want to be the richest man in the cemetery. What motivates me, my biggest intent is to allow things to come through me for others. I believe the more that comes through me for others, the more that will come to me as well. And so I live my life of service, trying to figure out how much value that I can provide. I actually pray every morning for at least 10 people that I can help. That's my morning prayer before I meditate.
Doesn't a lot of your charity work deal with people that maybe once were athletes and now are trying to find that void to fill some way in their everyday lives after athletics?
Yeah, I think it's not just filling a void. I think it's they want to pay it forward or give back because they've been so blessed. And, people like me that wouldn't have gone to college but for a scholarship, they feel the same way. And, whether it's boxers that couldn't afford tennis shoes, that give tennis shoes, or athletes that didn't have a down payment for their single moms, or, someone whose family member may have passed away of cancer or other ailments. I think everyone has to pick a passion or a purpose, and they can, utilize their brand and their finances to assist in changing the world.
David, I so appreciate you taking time for us here on VIBELAND Sports. You've got a great story. You've got a great company. You do indeed live the American dream. And again, thank you so much for joining us here on VIBELAND Sports.
Oh, anytime. It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you for giving me the time. Have a wonderful night.
David Meltzer, the CEO of Sports One Marketing, visiting with us on this bonus podcast of VIBELAND Sports. We're back to wrap it up in just a moment.
Welcome back to this bonus podcast. I'm Casty Fletcher, the co-host of VIBELAND Sports. Another big thank you to Dave Meltzer for joining us here on VIBELAND Sports today. He had a wonderful story, and if you'd like to find out more about Dave, you can find him on his website at davemeltzer.com. That will be listed in the episode description. Please follow us on all social media at VIBELAND Sports. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we're there. And as always, make sure you subscribe either on Apple Podcast or on Spotify to make sure that you never miss an episode. Until we see you next week, have a great day.